Hello, everybody. How are you guys? Hello, hello. Welcome to our Thursday live show. I'm just going to be checking my group just to see who's jumping on during this call, just to make sure that I see your comments, that I see your lovely names that are popping up in the chat to see who's jumping in on this conversation tonight. Give it a little bit more time for everybody to hop on. I know that there's always a little bit of a lag here, so welcome whoever is joining us tonight. Welcome, welcome. Please, as always, say hello, give me a wave, tell me how your day was. Did you have beautiful weather? Did you have a nice day? Are you happy it's almost the weekend? Let me know. I'm going to be pulling up my group to see. There I am, and I can see the comments. Wonderful. All right. So, welcome everybody. Tonight is going to be a good topic. So, before we start, I really just wanted to show you something really quick that really made my day today. A little bit of self-care for myself today, and I was going to show you, and I wish you could actually be here and smell this scent. So look at this. This is what I collected out of my garden today. So those are lilacs, and the smell is absolutely fantastic. I've been having this bouquet sitting in my office all day today, and I have a pretty small office, and my door was closed pretty much all day. And then my daughter came in during lunchtime, and she came in, and then she stopped for a second, and she said, "Oh, mommy, what's that smell? It smells heavenly. It's like paradise." And it's just amazing. I mean, bringing in those scents from nature into your own four walls can really help to lift your spirits up a little bit too. So that was just my act of self-care today. Yeah, so welcome everybody. Let me know who's here and we get started. So today's topic is about, are you chasing quick fixes, or are you looking for transformation? And sometimes these things go hand in hand. Sometimes these two are interwoven, and sometimes we get sidetracked. We all believe that we are chasing transformation, or that we are looking for long-term transformation, but oftentimes we get caught up in the rat race of, chasing those quick fixes in order to get there. So we're trying to create this scenario of where we are creating this goal of that health goal for ourselves, that we want to reach in a certain amount of time. And we believe that we have to reach certain intermittent goals to hit the long-term goal. And those intermittent goals we are basing on quick fixes a lot of times. And sometimes we need to, because sometimes we have to incorporate those quick fixes for long-term transformation. However, oftentimes we get really stuck in that cycle of quick fixes, and then we implement, and for some reason they don't stick, and for some reason we can never get to a point where we want to be in our health. So give me the hands up if there's anybody in here who has ever felt that they have tried everything on their health journey. They believe they have done everything they could in order to get rid of the symptoms, in order to regain their energy, in order to have perfect bowel movements, in order to get rid of the bloat, in order to whatever symptoms are really causing you pain and trouble and heartache. Hands up for those of you in here who have thought they have tried it all and have never seen a difference. It's interesting because there's a lot of you out there that are in that situation, and I know for myself that I was in that situation just like you. So I thought I was doing it all, I went gluten free. I went soy free. I went dairy free. I was cutting everyththing out of my life. And in the end, I was just not getting better. There was never a place where I could consistently, gradually feel that my body was starting to transform in the right direction until much later. So tonight, I want to go through 3 factors that can really, really, um, you know, open your eyes around where you might be hitting, or where you might be falling off track in terms of seeking long-term transformation, and where you are getting caught up in the cycle of chasing quick fixes. So I'm going to be sharing with you those 3 factors that I have come to see over and over again that happen in our lives. It happened in my life, and I see it happening in my clients' life all the time. So I just want to give you those 3 things for you to brainstorm, for you to see if it resonates with you, for you to see maybe that you are in this sort of situation, and then maybe it'll start a little bit of a shift towards stopping this cycle of being stuck in the cycle of quick fixes, and rather than moving over to you know, wanting or working towards long-term transformation. So I see there is visitors and you know, people coming on here. Please give me a wave, say hello. I really want to see who's on, and so we can have a conversation together. So let's start. Number 1 is the number 1 factor that I see is a little bit of a different perspective. It comes around decision making. So let me just see the comments. Hello. Let's see who that is. Well, let me see if I can see who that is. Let's see. Natalie. Hey, Natalie. I have to look down on my phone because I can't see any kind of names on my StreamYard. Okay, let's get started. Yeah, so decision making, number 1. Number 1 factor of us getting stuck in the cycle of quick fixes. So it's a concept that I came to understand not so long ago, and it opened doors for me in every level of, you know, awareness in my life. So it's about decision making. What do you base your decision making on when it comes to your health? So what I mean by that is, when you are in a situation of feeling unwell, when you are in a situation of long-term crisis, really, because you're dealing with a chronic illness, chronic inflammation, chronic symptoms that are ongoing, you are left in a situation where you have to make decisions for yourself and for your future health that are you know, that come out of this situation that you're in right now. So what I mean by that is that you are so stuck in this situation of feeling unwell, of probably not having felt better for a long time. So now you have to make a decision how to move forward in your health, coming from this energy of stagnation, coming from this energy of scarcity and fear, in order to make long-term decisions on how you can shift your health to see transformation. The issue with that is oftentimes that we can't see the bigger picture when we are in that situation. We are basing our decision making on our current state and what we can envision for ourselves to be at this moment in time. And oftentimes we have lost the vision, and we have lost the positive energy of what our healthy self can look and feel like, that it's very, very difficult for us coming from that situation to make a decision that will actually lead to that person that you want to be in the future. So, whether it's, so I will give you an example and let me know if that resonates with you. So, for example, um, in this current situation, you are experiencing a lot of gut issues. You're experiencing a lot of food sensitivities. You're experiencing a lot of bloating, acid reflux that leads you maybe to waking up at night. Your sleep is interrupted. You feel very, very sluggish, very drowsy. You don't have the energy. So you want to feel more energetic. You want to get rid of the bloating, right? Which is fair because this is what's causing you issues at this moment in time. So your go-to approach would be, okay, what do others do that help with the bloating? What can I do in order to get rid of the bloating instantly so that I feel better? And this is where we start to make decisions on the quick fixes, on our current situation, because we're not in a space where we can make decisions from a perspective of you being a healthy person. So your decision making would be, okay, I'm cutting out my gluten, I'm cutting out my dairy, I'm cutting out my soy, I'm cutting out all the foods I'm sensitive to, and this will help my bloating. And the thing is that you almost all the time you get instant gratification and you are thrilled because it seems to be working for you, right? You're thrilled because removing all of these trigger foods are actually helping you because you're not feeding the bacteria that are perhaps overgrowing in your system, and thereby they are starting to go dormant and you don't have the bloat anymore. So you're elevated and you're happy. However, the issue almost oftentimes is that this is not going to last. It's not going to last on so many levels. Number one, because you get very frustrated with your food choices. You start to miss your food. You start to fear food because you will likely start to react to more and more foods along the way down the road. And so then you're getting frustrated and you're getting, um, sometimes depressed and sometimes unhappy. And so the quick fixes were there. You got the gratification, but it didn't last. It didn't lead to long-term transformation. Whereas if you were to step out of this energy for a moment and say and start to base your decision making on the vision that you have for yourself as a healthy person in the future. So envisioning yourself being entirely healthy, not having any of these issues anymore. What would you decide on implementing for long-term, for long-term upkeep of the situation? What would your decision making be? Would it be cutting out foods still, or would it be abundance and integrating foods? And I think it's pretty safe to say that a lot of people would, if you were healthy, you would come from a mindset of, I want to include so many foods because I know that all of these foods are nourishing me on some level. I want to include so many foods because I love food and I miss the foods that I can't eat anymore. So I want to continue to eat so that I have, that I can have celebrations with my family where certain foods are involved so that I can prepare the meals that I love to eat and all of it. And so basing your decision making on this energy will lead you to get on a path to transformation. Now, this might include, restricting and cutting out in the meantime for a while in order to repair and restore. But the long-term goal for you would be, in the end, to always be able to include and an energy of abundance versus an energy of scarcity. So let me know if this resonates with you. Let me know if this is something that you have experienced in your life. I certainly have. And this will also put you in in an energy of embracing abundance in your life in general. So not just food, but also when it comes to all levels, relationships and job and all of it. Yeah, so that was factor number one that I wanted to touch on here is the decision making, right? Really observe where your decision making is coming from, which can lead you to either a merry-go-round of quick fixes or a long-term transformation. Number two, I have my notes here. So number two, I was gonna note that I have observed is where we get stuck in quick fixes so often is when we are starting to rely too heavily on supplementation and restrictions, what I just touched on, versus uncovering layers in your life that just have not been benefiting you all across the board, and solving these issues on a deeper level, and thereby the root causes, and thereby allowing abundance in again with the abundance long term. So there's a couple of things I wanted to mention around supplementation. So supplementation when you go to the health food store and you walk in and you see those rows and shelves of just full of supplementation. It's insane. And you start walking and you look at all this stuff. And then you start reading about those supplementation. Every single thing that you read is like, oh my goodness, that's what I need. This is what I'm missing. This is what I'm lacking. So you start to fill your cart with all of these supplementations because you get in a state of panic almost and saying, oh my goodness, this is missing and this is missing and this is missing as a puzzle piece in my long-term health. And so you stuff it all in your cart because you think you're doing the right thing. So what it really does, and it's not our fault, I have to say it's not our fault, because unfortunately the health and wellness space has morphed into a space where it's marketed towards the quick fixes very often with supplementation. Supplementation is great in a specific way, at a specific time, but supplementation can never fill the void of nutrient deficiencies that has been created through the lack of nutrition in food. It can never do that. And so when we're experiencing the situation, we're actually experiencing fear. We were experiencing fear of missing out on something. We're experiencing fear of, um, you know, um, not being able to really, get to the one thing that is missing. And again, this is based on an energy of scarcity versus abundance. And we are being marketed to that. So I don't blame anybody in here. I was exactly the same in the beginning of my journey when I was starting to work with my naturopath, which is now 5 years ago, 5, 6 years ago. I did the same thing, and I spent so much money on supplementation. And yes, maybe it did help me a little bit in terms of, I felt a little bit more energetic when I was taking my B vitamins, or I was able to go to the bathroom in a more efficient way to empty my bowels when I was having my magnesium and all of these things. However, again, your decision making. So is it that you want to be on the magnesium now for the rest of your life in order to be able to have great bowel movements? Or is it going to start to dig a little deeper, uncovering those layers of why is it that my bowels actually are not moving fast enough or efficiently enough in the first place? Like, what led to my bowels to become sluggish? And then starting to dig and unravel those layers and look what needs to be done in order to get that back on track for long-term transformation, because the goal is not to stay on the supplementation for the rest of your life. So let me see, there are some comments coming in. Yes, I started reacting to more and more foods. Yes, it's very common. It's almost, I see it happening all the time. My functional doctor is the reason I've been on all the supplements I'm on. Yes, and the functional doctors are doing what they have been trained to do. And the functional doctors are great. They have a vast amount of knowledge, but their approach is supplementation. And sometimes it's not a bad approach, but the thing is, it's not the end all be all thing. It's something that needs to be done on the way towards your transformation. Uh, I agree with you. Taking a long-term view of where we want to be. Thanks for sharing. Yes, you're welcome. Yeah, so relying too heavily on supplementation and restrictions versus uncovering layers in your life that have not been benefiting you. So, and I want to take this a little further in saying, and that is not just about supplementation. That is about looking at your lifestyle. That is about looking at what type of life have I been creating that led to me having these symptoms now? Because I can tell you that at one point in your life, you have been doing things that have not been benefiting you, whether it's food choices, whether it's lifestyle choices, whether it's, habits, um, whether it's stress, right? And all of these things we have to take a look at, and we have to be willing to put in the work and in order to get to the transformation that we're seeking for ourselves. And I can tell you, oftentimes, this is the hardest part. And this is where a lot of people get, tripped on, because it's very difficult to change certain habits that have been creating, even though we know they're not benefiting us anymore. Um, but we need to understand that we need to change these things. We are transforming, we are evolving, we are turning into the healthy version of ourselves that we want. And we're turning into that person by not doing the same things anymore. And it's almost like we have to let go of so much stuff, emotionally, physically, habitually, on all levels, in order to transform. And nobody really asks you to do that overnight, because that's not something that happened overnight. It's something that happens gradually, but it's something that needs to happen consistently. So you need to have to be in that space of, I need to let that go. I need to let go of my habits of, let's say, when we talk about food, snacking all the time. Because oftentimes we snack our way through the day. We are never giving our digestive system a rest, so that our digestive system is starting to slow down. It's getting bogged down. We're not meant to have food in our system all the time. There's certain things that happen during fasting in our bodies. There's certain things that happen during sleep in terms of detoxification and cleanup and house cleaning, all that. That can only be successfully done when our digestive system, our digestive tract is emptied, right? So that is something. But then dig deeper and think, Why am I snacking all the time? Why do I have the need to eat all the time? Is it comfort, right? Is it comforting me? Am I eating in a certain situation? Am I eating because I'm stressed? Am I eating because I'm sad or upset, right? Or is it because I just don't feel satisfied anymore? I can't feel, I don't have that feeling of fullness or satisfaction in my digestive tract that I just eat and don't feel full anymore. So, taking it always a step further and thinking about these things, to dig deeper, to uncover these layers of why, that's very, very important. Um, and, and thereby, when you are starting to do that, you are uncovering things that you might, you'd rather not face, really. So, especially on an emotional level, there's a lot of emotional stuff also that contributes to our illness, to our diseases. There's always an emotional thing going on at the same time. And only when we start to really address this side of it as well, you will then be able to move out of it, to let go of the quick fixes, letting go of the urge for instant gratification, and just move towards transformation and creating the life that you really want to live for yourself, with high energy, with no more digestive issues, with being able to play with your kids, grandkids, being able to travel, being able to, take on a career that you like, whatever it is. So that was my second point. I hope that makes sense. And that really leads me to my third point, to the third factor that I was going to share with you about chasing quick fixes or seeking transformation. And number three is a little bit of a different one. And I call it the fear of success. Yes, it's not the fear of failure, it's the fear of success. It's the fear of success sometimes that keeps us in the loop of chasing quick fixes rather than transformation. And I find it's a highly interesting topic because, again, it has a lot of that head trash that we're carrying around with us most of the time, that comes into play with that. So fear of success. What does that mean? Fear of success means that when you are changing, in which you are, right? When you are changing, when you're transforming, you are changing. And you're changing on so many levels, physically for yourself, but also energetically. You're changing energetically. You're changing the way you're showing up, not just for yourself, but for others as well. And oftentimes we are worried, especially when we have created an image of ourselves, that we see ourselves in that situation of feeling unwell, ill, not being ourselves, and everybody around us is watching us and is seeing us in that situation. So making that decision to transform into a new person can be really scary, because it doesn't only mean that you are transforming yourself. It means that you are transforming your entire immediate environment with you. So, that is why I always ask my clients, is your family on board with you? Because if the family is not on board with you, you are going to be experiencing, not that it's not possible, but it's going to be harder to transform for you. And the fear of success is going to start to keep you stuck in a place. Your ego, that is not ego in a bad sense of, selfishness, but the ego that we all have, that is us, and that is always trying to keep us safe. That is trying to keep us in a safe place wherever we are. And this ego in ourselves is getting a little bit uneasy if there's people around us that are not believing in us. It's trying to keep us safe from harm. And so whether it's, negative reactions, whether it's, going to be um, having, trouble to cook your own meals and everybody else is doing their own thing, or fear of, what are my friends going to be saying when we go out to restaurants? I will be the weird one out who's ordering weird food. And all of these things, we should not take them lightly because they are going around in our head and they are keeping us stuck in a place. And that comes from fear of success. We are actually sabotaging ourselves that way. And we are looking for proof that whatever we do is just not working for us. And if we're looking for proof, it could be consciously or unconsciously, the proof will appear. So wherever attention goes, energy flows, in my opinion. So if you focus the energy on trying to find, proof that it's not working for you, it's not going to work for you. And so the fear of success can really be something very detrimental. And that is where, again, the first factor comes in terms of visualization. Really starting that visualization practice and sitting with you and starting to imagine this person, that you are going to be transforming into, starting to really embrace this new being that you are working so hard on becoming, and being okay with it, and then really starting to assess who's on board with you and who's not on board with you. And you will find that some people, you might be stepping away from for a little while because they might not be in the right space for you during this journey through transformation. But that's a different topic for a different day. So fear of success is really my third point that I was going to mention, that might keep you stuck in chasing quick fixes or seeking long-term transformation. Yeah, guys, I hope that was I hope that made sense. I hope that was helpful for you. I know it's a little bit of a different topic and not much talked about in the health and wellness space. And it might sound a little bit woo-woo, but quite honestly, these things were just it was transforming for me. And when I talk to my clients about all of these issues, I see light bulbs go on. And I just want to give you one quick example of such a transformation that I have just experienced with one of my clients last week. So, one of my clients, and that's actually a good example. So, sometimes we are actually, um, we believe that we have to make a decision between our health and between other things that are just as important. We are under the impression that we can't have it all, especially when it comes to jobs, right? Jobs can be very stressful sometimes, causing a lot of stress and anxiety sometimes, or just being really high paced and really busy all the time. And sometimes our jobs are affecting us to such an extent that it's starting to harm our health. And we get the connection. We get the sinking stomach feeling every time we step in our office, or the adrenaline when we look at our emails and we see the deadlines looming in front of us. And all of these things, you feel a physical reaction. So you can see you get the stomach upset, maybe you get some diarrhea, all of these things, right? But your mind tells you, I can't just walk out of my job and, try to find something else because I have a family to feed. We are dependent on my income, and we need to continue. I need to continue to suck it up, and I have to. This is not a good time to look after my health. I hear that very often, and I was in the same situation myself. So the other day, I was having a conversation with one of my clients, and she experienced that. And we had a conversation about stress, and we were trying to figure out a way how we can incorporate certain stress management strategies so that she doesn't take the stress home with her. Anyways, 2 weeks later, we had another conversation, and I asked her if she did the one thing that we talked about, and she says, no, she hasn't. However, she did something entirely different. And she was real. I saw her, she started to be very, happy as she was glowing. I said, okay, so tell me, what is it that you did? So she said she actually had the guts. She was thinking about her job situation. She actually had the guts to walk up to her supervisor and to start an open conversation with her supervisor and telling her supervisor that the job she's in right now is stressing her out to such an extent that her health is being compromised and that she can't do it anymore. And even though she expected a negative outcome, it opened another door for her because she was offered a different position that might be less stressful. So she was actually taking action, letting go of that um, you know, fear of, or the fear of having to decide one thing over the other, and knowing that focusing on her transformation, making that connection that long term, this decision in just, sticking it out and staying in that job long term is not going to benefit her. And she took the action and she spoke with her supervisor. And guess what happened? A door opened for her. She put it out there. And that energy actually opened up a different, better path for her long-term transformation. And this is what's going to happen. This is what I see happening all the time. When people are making that decision and when people are starting to seek the longer term transformation, they are starting to step away from the fear. They're starting to step away from the self sabotage and the restrictions and the scarcity energy to inviting abundance in their lives, into their lives. So that was just an example I wanted to share with you guys. Okay, so if there's no more comments or any kind of questions, I will let you go for the evening. And thank you so much for hopping on with me tonight for this topic. And yeah, I will see you again very shortly. Just one more thing, I do have a workshop coming up on Monday. So it's all going to be a deep dive into digestion and absorption, which need to be really dialed in order to achieve the long-term transformation. So if you haven't signed up yet, I feel free to reach out to me. I can get you registered. It's going to be a 1.5-ish hour of Zoom workshop where we're going to be being like very, intimate in terms of, it's an intimate setting where we can all share our thoughts around that. I'm going to give you some teaching, and you can ask questions. There's going to be a Q&A at the end of it. So if you want to participate, it's going to be a really good workshop. Then yeah, let me know, reach out, and I will get you registered. So I hope you guys have a great evening, and I will see you again very shortly. Have a good night, everybody.